Hey, everybody. We are back with another AIME Live. Today, we're talking about AIME's new Partnerships Committee, one that I am very, very excited about. I obviously work very closely with all of our partners, so pumped that we have these guys with us today. We've got Evan Einhorn, who is the president at Modern Home Lending, Mike Socha, who is the president over at the Socha Lending Group, and Evan Wade, president and CEO of Epoch Lending. Thank you guys for joining us, first and foremost. I know all of y'all are just as passionate about this topic as I am. So I want to get going right away and kick it off with each of you kind of tackling why it is so important that we have a member-led partnerships committee specifically. So Evan Einhorn, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. The better Evan, if anyone's wondering.
The better Evan.
Not gonna argue with that.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's super important. One, we're super grateful for AIME and what AIME does, but it's also important to have member-led committees because, we're in it day to day. And I think, that partnership is just so important when you're working with, sponsors and vendors and lenders, and, you almost get a little more clout, because I can talk about a situation that happened yesterday with a loan, with one of my processors, versus Katie, I love you. I know you're not in it day to day, but I think that's a beautiful partnership that we have is, Hey, we're in it day to day. And there's things that AIME does that we don't have time to do, and vice versa, that, there's things that, AIME might need our help and input on. So I think it's a beautiful relationship between us, that you have people in it day to day working with AIME who, full-time focus. So, kind of tackling it from both sides, very beneficial for sponsors, lenders, and ultimately helping the broker community. So
yeah, exactly. I think we've had, to your point, for a while, the AIME relationship was, we are talking to our members all the time, but we're sort of playing middleman between the members and then who our partners are. So being able to create some synergy that pulls everybody to the table at the same time, I think is really important, so that we're not only focusing on what members need, but we're able to hold our partners accountable in different ways, right? What I can hold them accountable to is different than what you guys can. Mike, I want to get your thoughts on the same topic. Why is it important to you to have a membership or a partnership committee that is working directly with our partners?
Well, I think across the board, we really need to hold all of our members, all of our potential sponsors, all of our partners to certain standards. And so I think defining those standards and then making sure that kind of from the people that are actually in the field doing it, that they're meeting those standards. And if not, that they're being held accountable and that we have some accountability and some insight into accountability. I think that that's really important. I also think that we also work with the lenders, the vendors, et cetera, so we can have some input into who might and who might not be the best people to work with. So that we can really have some input there, because we do want to work, have AIME work directly with certain lenders who are, the better lenders, that we really want to make sure that the entire community can know that has been vetted, that we can really kind of put our actual thoughts and our actual things that we've gotten done behind us and be able to say, hey, we worked with these people. They've been great people to work with. So we think that they should be invited to be part of AIME and part of the AIME sponsorship.
Yeah. Jamie Kavanaugh, who was unfortunately not able to join us. She's down at summer camp with Vetted VA this weekend. But she's been a part of, recent conversations with one of our lenders doing exactly what you're describing, Mike, of being able to say, all right, what's really going on behind the scenes? This is what they're telling AIME, but this is what I'm experiencing as a broker out there working with them every day. And there's some misalignment, and we need to figure out how to bring that back, because I don't think it's intentional or malicious, but sometimes things get lost in translation, and what we're being told is happening isn't always what's being put into practice. And so being able to look at it from both of those angles, and also going out and finding new partners to bring in, right? we've gotten to the point where we've saturated the market that we're familiar with, and we've got to start finding some other partners that are going to be around for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And what is the benefit that they offer, and how do we start pulling them into our community? Evan, Wade, what do you think about all of this?
Yeah, I mean, the partners that AIME has are a large part of my company's success. So, you know, I've always put a strong emphasis on building partnerships and relationships with every company, every lender, every vendor, every, you know, anything you can think of with my company. I'm trying to develop deeper relationships because, you know, we don't have those same problems that you can sometimes find in Brokers Are Better, because I spent all, you know, I don't get any special treatment. I just know people because I spent the time to develop those relationships. So I'm excited to be a part of this to, you know, help, you know, open that up to really anybody in Brokers Are Better in the community. You know, some of these partners I've actually been using prior to me becoming a broker, like Lead Pops and Incorporate.com for the corporate compliance services. If you want to get registered in a new state, all that kind of thing. I actually used to work for that company before I became a loan officer. So there's a lot of great partners in there, and you know, having this community to really put a spotlight on you know, what these partners can offer for us, and you know, relaying that information to the broker community and see why it's so valuable for you know, people to be using AIME partners.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes down to, you know, what types of partners are necessary for the businesses that are a part of our community, right? Breaking it down and saying, right, we've got large companies that need certain type of support and resources. We've got smaller companies, we've got tech-focused companies, we've got referral or community outreach-based companies, and there are different types of partners that are needed to help facilitate and grow each of those different business models. I think it's really important that we kind of clarify and hit on for everyone in the community. The Partnerships Committee is all of our partners across the board. So all of our Brokers Are Better network partners, all of our lender sponsors, all of our vendor sponsors, everybody falls into this partnerships conversation. And each one of you bring a different perspective and a different focus in those areas. So Mike, starting with you, who are the partners, or what types of partners are you most excited to be working directly with?
I really think that we need to get more appraisal AMCs on board. I know right now we have a couple, and I think that us having the escalation process through the partnerships to be able to say, hey, here's something that's going on, is something that we really, really need, especially with appraisals right now. So I think that's one thing that we've already discussed. Another thing is, and I've been on another AIME call about non-QM. I really am very strongly an advocate of non-QM as an additional source so that we can all have different products that we can really bring to the table. I know that we have some non-QM lenders, but I think there are some other great ones out there that we could talk to and see if it might be a good fit for the AIME community to become an AIME partner. So yeah, I think just across the board, helping us with some of the things that are right now kind of trouble in what we're doing day to day, that if we're able to bring more on, we can have more options, and then also be able to use the already existing programs and escalation processes that AIME has to be able to help everybody in the community.
Yeah, and you touched on something really important. Part of the vetting process is requirement to participate in that escalation process. You can't come on as a partner unless you're willing to work with us through escalations and make sure that we're resolving things as they come up. And that's a big differentiator. Obviously, we like our partners. We think they offer the best service, the best value, but we also have an added benefit of providing a service that you can't get anywhere else. And you do have to participate in that. And we score our partners on their participation in that process. We know how quickly they turn things around, how often we're able to find resolutions for all of our members. Those are all really important things that we'll be expanding through this committee as well, and that more transparent accountability moving forward. Evan, Wade, what about you? What types of partners are you most excited to be working with?
That's a tough one. I mean, always, I think as much technology as possible the brokers can get their hands on, especially the technology that they otherwise wouldn't be able to go out and get on their own. Like, you got MMI that can be, an extremely valuable tool for only $150 a month. And if you went out there on your own and got it, I think it's like $2,500 a month.
Yep.
With like a setup fee and all that nonsense. So like, it's things like that can really, help the broker community out that they typically would never have access to. And that's always kind of that constant argument out there of why retail has access to more things, because they've got the money to do that. So AIME kind of aggregates all of us together and negotiates on our behalf, and being able to level the playing field and democratize technology for the broker channel, I think is invaluable, especially as we head into the future. So really anything that's related to technology, I'm excited about. And then of course learning more about some of what some of these lenders are offering that I'm not signed up with, because we don't really do much in non-QM. We don't, and it would be, as we shift to more of a purchase market, it'll be good to be able to differentiate ourselves a little bit more, and maybe develop a department for specific for non-QM and stuff like that. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, we for those of you that don't know, Evan and I initially met and I think bonded over this desire to bring retail or enterprise level technology solutions into the broker channel. We've started working on Arrive related things together. We've been to Digital Mortgage Conference at the same multiple times. It's a really interesting and unique conversation that I think we have the scale to be able to have some significant impact beyond what we've done the last 2 years, but really even looking forward more. How do we bring more of that? What are those solutions that are only available at a certain size, at a certain scale, and how do we bring them into the channel, which I think is going to be really fun. Evan, Einhorn, what about you? Who are you most excited to be working with?
Yeah, well, first off, I do want to piggyback on what you were just saying. Like, I 100% agree that, when I started as a broker 3 years ago, it was, the brokers are better, wholesale lender, brawl Facebook page, just trying to figure out, hey, who are you guys using? What are you guys using? And I remember Evan Wade was, very generous of saying, hey, here's my tech stack. I've done all the research, here you go. But AIME has kicked that up a notch. So I'm excited to, I guess, venture into a lot of our, vendor partners or sponsors that are tech related, because there's a few that we use. And there's a lot more that I'd like to dive deeper into. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm excited to work with a lot of our lenders and operations, because I always look at UWM's brilliant idea, which it's such a simple idea to say, hey, here's a suggestion box. Like, you tell us what we need to do. And I'm excited to kind of, help replicate that elsewhere. Because all my lender partners know that I'm super transparent and saying, hey, here's the issue. We'd love to fix it, because it's a two-way street. If help you, help me kind of thing. So I'm super excited about, just increasing, not that service levels are bad, but increasing service levels, and we all win. So
yeah, exactly. I think there's some really unique things that we can do as a group to also help aggregate that information together, right? Like, our lenders, often the feedback that we're getting is, I'm hearing feedback. We're getting it from every different angle, every different perspective from each individual broker, but to be able to aggregate all of that into one and take it back to them in a package and say, all right, we talked to the whole group. We talked to all of our members. Here are examples from companies of varying sizes in different regions across the country. Here is the most important thing for you guys to focus on for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. I think the impact that could have and what we could see come out of it could be very meaningful. Yeah,
I agree. And even if it's like simple things that, saves one broker 5 minutes alone, well, that's 5 minutes, times maybe 10 loans a month times however many brokers are using that lender. So yeah,
and then look at the efficiencies that the wholesale lender has at their scale.
Right.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
That's what's really impactful.
And we have to be kind of going back to what Mike said about the non-QM market. We've got to figure out who some of these other lenders are that are out there that can have, I mean, I think we all know what the gold standard is of service levels and technology that we all love and utilize regularly, but we've got to have other options that are available that have either different product offerings or that just to hold them accountable. We have to hold all of our partners accountable in different ways. And if somebody gets so big that there's no longer any accountability, that's not great for any of us. So being able to work with some non-QM or niche lender products that are out there or other technology investments that are happening. I know Cardinal's doing a lot with Octane right now. Any of those things that we can work on and help provide feedback around so that we do continue to have multiple options, I think it's really important. We're not really brokers if we don't have multiple places to go, right?
Yeah.
So I want to hit on one last thing before we get wrapped up. We definitely want to get as many people involved, as many members as we can coming together. But I want to toss to each of you guys if there's sort of one goal that you have for this group. We've touched on partners that you're excited to work with, why this committee is so important. If you have one thing where you're saying, look, in a year, if we can accomplish this, then I will have said this committee was successful over the next year. Evan, Wade, I'm going to start with you.
You got me there.
Yeah, one goal is tough.
One goal. Or even more than one goal. It could be a couple. Yeah. Just some of those big things. I think we've all, for the amount of time that we're all committing to putting into this committee and how many members we want to engage with and the goals that we have to push these forward, I think it's really important that every committee have at least a couple of sort of key milestones of these are things that I want to do. I know on my side, I would love to be able to say, hey, we've got 25 lenders that we are confident you could work with and you're going to receive the same level of service across all of them. I think we've got 16 or 17 right now. And I would say most are delivering on that A level of service, but there's a couple that I think we've struggled with over the last 6 months that aren't holding up their, I don't want to say their end of the bargain, but maybe not performing to the level of what our expectations are to be a partner at AIME or of AIME in our community. So having 25 solid options in the next 12 months, so this time next year, when we have shifted back to a purchase market, you guys know you can rely and depend on all 25 of these for whatever it is that you need. Not that you need to work with all 25 people, but to have those options and be able to serve your consumers and not feel like you're stuck in a box, I think is really important. So I would love to see us get to that number on the lender side of 25 solid options, consistent delivery, execution, escalations, true partnership back and forth on both sides.
That's
Mike,
awesome. I did actually think of something after you. I would love to be able to show like the potential potential partners and current partners that some of the more to show the success that some of the more well-known partners have had being on the Brokers Are Better network or an AIME sponsor, like whether that's the volume growth for lenders after becoming a sponsor, or looking at a place like My Credit Guy, Sam Parker will always say that this community is the best thing that's ever happened in his community. Lead Pops is another one. Like they used to mainly work with larger retail banks, and now they have I think probably thousands of customers, as a result of this community. So I would love to be able to help other of those, other partners that are on there that are interested, that might not be as well known, to be able to get their name out there more and work with them on ways to do that.
That's awesome. Evan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to jump in kind of what you were saying. Like, I love your goal of having 25 lenders because, I think a lot of brokers are scared to jump into different lenders that they haven't worked with before. So kind of a twofold goal of mine would be, one, as a team to help increase service levels and, set that service level agreement of, hey, this is what we can expect. with a handful of lenders that have different niches, but also secondly, making sure our members know that, hey, here's here's the different niches. And I know Bennett said you guys are working some stuff behind the scenes, but making sure that a new broker or even non-new broker that maybe only has 3 lenders has a good list of, hey, here's 20, 25 lenders, you can expect that service. And, hey, if you are looking at a renovation loan, here's not just one option, but here's 3 solid options that you can look into. So I think the transparency for the member, will help both the member, but also will help the lenders get, a spotlight they deserve for what they're doing. So,
I agree.
If I can just jump in here, because I wanted to piggyback, that was going to be something that I was going to touch on as well. I know, so my team's very young. And so for us, and I see this a lot on Brokers Are Better as well, there's a lot of people saying, who does this? Like, who could we go to that has this thing? So if we're able to kind of figure out a way to commoditize that and to be able to say, hey, let's fill out these different things, and then it'll pop up which lenders are able to. And I know MBS Highway has things like this, et cetera, but there's membership fees. So if we're able to do that kind of at the AIME level and then have AIME partners that are in there that are going in and basically adjusting, because it kind of changes very quickly, so that it's constantly updated, I think that would be a huge win for our community. I also think some of the other stuff that we've talked about is ease. So what I mean by that is when me as a broker owner, I'm already signed up with a whole bunch of lenders. And every time I have to sign up with a lender, it takes me an exorbitant amount of time to be able to type in a lot of things. And Convergence was supposed to fix this, and it kind of doesn't. And so if we're able to figure out a way to maybe have our AIME profile go ahead and link to some of the pages because we put them together to make it a little bit easier, I think that would really help. And then I know Jamie's really passionate about this. I know some of us have also been talking about this, that we can change our broker agreements. You can talk to the lenders before you sign up. So I think that if we're already able to kind of say the things that I know a lot of us have been talking about, especially around EPOs and timing and that sort of thing, if we're able to really say to the partners, hey, we need a reasonable amount of time, and 12 months is just not a reasonable amount of time, especially in this environment, for us to be held accountable for those types of things, then we could really kind of go to the partners and say, hey, if you're an AIME member, AIME partner, these are the standards, and here's what we think that it should be, just based upon, the community feedback.
Completely agree. I think we've had, over the last couple of years, we've tried to incrementally put in additional expectations and requirements for every sponsor. It's, for those of you that don't know, it's actually a part of the sponsor contract. Before they can sign, they have to agree to certain behaviors. We have the right to void our agreement at any point in time if they don't adhere to the expectations that are defined ahead of time. And I think that's a really important thing. There's a misconception, and there are other associations out there that you can pay and be a sponsor, and that's really the only thing that you have to do is pay and show up, and that's kind of where it stops. And we're definitely not that way. Both the Brokers Are Better network partners and our annual sponsors at AIME are required to adhere to specific behaviors that Mike's alluding to. And I also think it's important that we create some standardization, like you said, whether that's scalability on the technology side, standardization across contracts that we're engaging with different lender partners, whatever it is. All of those things come back and create efficiency for brokers and for our members to be able to go out and better serve consumers. Every committee that we have at the end of the day is trying to focus on a topic that allows us to be better brokers and to get out there in our communities and serve more people. And this one specifically, like I said, my first job at AIME was running partnerships. So I'm very excited to be tackling this specifically with the three of y'all. I will leave it at that. I'll give each of you guys a chance if there's any one last thing that you want to add before we hop off, but we've got some work to do, guys.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I think it motivates me to help everyone, but also help myself. So it's kind of selfish and selfless. So I'm really excited for everything.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty active on the Brokers Are Better Facebook group. So I would just encourage people, as they find things that come up or if they have thoughts, etc., that's actually a really great resource. I know I'm on it every day. I think all of us are, for us to kind of read what our fellow brokers are going through, et cetera, and to feel free to reach out as well, especially if there's something that they think that needs change, or if there's any partnerships that they think might be able to be better.
Absolutely. Evan, what about you?
Well, now I've got my anxiety levels like running high because of Mike bringing up the broker application thing. Like just the other night, I spent an hour filling one out, and like no matter how organized you are and all that, some of these guys ask for the dumbest things, and there's no uniformity to it, and conversions is useless, sort of like what Mike said. So that now I'm fired up to tackle that too.
You are welcome, Evan.
Well, we've clearly have a lot of big ideas, a lot of goals, a lot of things that we'll continue to iron out and define over the next couple of months. This whole group, we haven't put a formal Fuse agenda out there yet. That's coming in early August. But what I can tell you is that we will have a lot of committee-focused conversations that will be at Fuse. So as we work through the next 60 days going into that, we'll be able to really clearly articulate what those 12-month goals are, what we're going to be focused on, what initiatives we're sort of taking the lead for this committee specifically. If you want to get involved, we want you to get involved. Like these guys said, you can always reach out directly to any one of them, me, Jamie, any of us. We're more than happy to have these conversations. You can also email us. I don't want to say the wrong email address. We're going to drop it in the comments just to make sure that we get it right. But you can email AIME, info@aimegroup.com, and I think it's committees@aimegroup.com. Either one works if you want to get involved with us, if you want to be a member on any of our committees, but specifically if you want to be engaged on the partnerships committee side, we'd love to hear from you. And we want to hear feedback. If you've got great experiences, if you've got less than stellar experiences, whether they're currently a partner or not, all of that information is helpful in understanding where we want to provide resources and leverage relationships moving forward. We need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly of everything that you're seeing and experiencing, so we can make sure we're focused on bringing the right partners to the table and creating better experiences for all of us. If you're experiencing something poor, somebody else probably is as well, and it's something that we should be trying to fix. So thank you guys again for joining us. I'm very excited about this. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. We'll try to engage and respond, get back to you on all of them as quickly as possible. And we'll get to work.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye,
See you
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.